Now I've lifted this up in position and I've found which was the downside, and I've lucked out and got it in place. Now what I do next is take my little wrench, put it in the other way because I want to screw this thing in tight. So I want to just keep pulling on this wrench and it'll stop. You see that? It won't go any further. Sometimes this is the part that causes a lot of problems because of the compression of that ring going into the setting. So we've really had an easy time with that, which I'm very grateful for. Our next step then is to take our wires. These are our wires from the place. I want to bend them some because I have to go back through this loop here and come out. So I've got to kind of have to thread it around. Let me get a little light on it here for you so that you can see. Hang on a second. There we are. But I start them up into our cable connector with a little right angle bend in it so I can get them kind of around the corner here. And hopefully, no, I didn't bend it far enough. I've got to put a little bigger bend in that. And again, the heavier wire is just excellent to have. But you have to work with what you have. Let me get them together here again. Coming. Try it again. This is slow and easy, which is not always, patience is not always a virtue sometimes when it comes to fussy stuff like this. Alright, so what we're going to do, since it's not going the easy way, we'll do it this way. We'll take our cable connector out, all right, and then we will slide it down the wire so that it's out of the way. Now we can kind of see where our wires are going and get them around, kind of push them around a little more at a time. There we are. Now what we'll do is screw the connector in place since we've got the wires in and out. There she goes. All right. So now we've solved the problem of the cable connector. We'll put the screw back in. And we want to get that conduit, that metal conduit in there tight. So we'll screw that in place. Then tighten up on that conduit with our screwdriver. Again, this is that multi-purpose screwdriver we've talked about before. It has both all kinds of blades in it. Okay, now we're getting tight. So we just make sure that we're nice and tight. All right, there we are. Okay. The next thing we do is take our wire nuts that we took off. And in this instance, of course, we're going to put white to white and screw them in place. Let me show you that a little better. Hang on a minute. I'll get them over here so you can see them better. But there's our two wires. Can you see them? There you are. See them? The white from the disposal and then the white from there. And these have been a godsend over the years too. And when you screw on a wire nut, you want to screw it on as tight and tight as you can get it. And then you pull on both wires to make sure that it's up in there. Now if you'll look in the end of this wire nut, you'll see like a spring inside that. You see the little wire spring inside it? Can you see that? That's what the wire is getting held by, is that little spring inside there. So we'll do in this instance, the blue, which is the hot side of this thing, to the black, and we'll do the same thing as we did with the white. Hold them together. I know it's hard to see that way down here, but then screw it in until you can't screw it any tighter with your fingers. And then pull on both wires to make sure they're in place. And there we are. So our electric's hooked up. And now, since it's a good solid one, we end up bending and twisting your connections inside of the machine itself. And since we got good connections, we can pretty well do that. It's a little bit of a force fit, but they go up in there. And if you look, maybe turn the light on it for you, you can see as long as they're in like that, we're fine, because then we can put our plate on and screw our plate in place. And it's just on the one side. There we go. Oops, I missed. Well, let's try that again. And then I'll finger tighten it for right now, but then the plate's in place. And then I'll just tighten it with a screwdriver after we get the flashlight out of here. Okay, so we're installed right now as far as the electric goes in the machine, and now we'll have to re-hook up the plumbing. Before we do anything else, we're going to check and make sure our electricity hookup is correct. So we've come back to the box, and as you can see, we've turned off switch 3 and 4, and we'll flip them back on. Now we know right away we don't have a short circuit, or else these would have popped. So we know that our electricity is flowing like it used to. And all of these switches, these are the replacement for the old fuse box. All of these will trip off if there's a short. So we just want to make sure they're all on, they're all secure. We didn't move any of the other ones. And we'll close up the box, and then we'll go back into the kitchen and turn the switch on briefly. So now what we're going to do is just give it a brief turn on and to hear the motor running. Now you hear it running? Okay, so we know our electricity's okay. And it's not shorting out, and it's running smoothly. So now we're down to just hooking up our water line, and we'll be through with this job.